Hi guys, welcome back to the Teacher Surgery. It's your boy Des is Conscious. Welcome back. We've got our speakers here. How's everyone doing today?
All good, man. All good. Bless.
As you know, it's a brand new season. We're going to answer more of your questions. And so our first question today is one that is close to my heart. It's quite an interesting one. It is, do students benefit from single-sex schools?
Oh.
Okay.
I want to hear you lot's thoughts on this. Clem, I'll let you start this.
All right. So, someone who is coming from not being in a single-sex school. So, when I went to school, I was in a mixed school, and I now still also teach in a mixed school. So I can only really give one side. Although I do have friends, that have been to a single-sex school, and I've also asked students as well, like, what would the difference be for you, like individually? I feel like, so from an academic kind of point of view, and there are statistics that show that single-sex schools perform better, that they perform better, and I think maybe that's probably because it takes away social pressures. Do you know what I mean? So you've got boys going to a boys' school, girls going to a girls' school, and they're all the same, so they just focus on education themselves. There's not that. Whereas if it was mixed, like when it's mixed, so I can talk from this point now. When it's a mixed school, you know what I mean? Like, let's keep it real. You're trying to impress the ladies. You're trying to impress the girls. You know what I mean? You're trying not to act up. And by doing that, it takes away, what you should be doing, which is obviously trying to focus and trying to. So it's hard. There's pros and cons. So it depends. It depends.
I was going to say, because I was just thinking about what you said, because I was thinking I've taught in a pupil referral unit. Or an SEMH now.
What's that? What is that?
Pupil referral units are places where students who've usually been excluded from mainstream school, they then go to another unit that for it may be to stay there for 3 years, or it could be to stay there until they get placed back into another school. Usually it's through behaviour in secondary school.
Do they tend to be single sex?
Not deliberately. So of course there are especially with pupil referral units, you tend to find that there are a lot of boys. And depending on which area, you find that there are a lot of black boys sometimes within these pupil referral units. So where there has been, so I've taught in that, and then I've also taught in obviously mixed mainstream schools. So within this pupil referral units, there has been, you notice that when they're alone and they're all getting on, and even different gangs are in the same class and they're actually getting on. As soon as a girl who's been excluded, and if she's a hot girl, oh my gosh, it changes, the dynamics change. People start arguing, and you're thinking,
that's crazy.
What is going on? Like, how comes the dynamics are sudden? And then the girl, usually because she's been also excluded, so she might have been used to stirring a little bit or whatever, and it can actually lead to fights. However, like, my opinion is I actually don't agree at all with single-sex schools.
Oh, that's interesting you say that after that.
At all. I just think that they don't prepare you for the real life.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I think that it hinders relationships in a sense of every day you're just with the boys, with the girls, and then you find it really difficult to have interaction with the opposite sex. And also I just feel like it's then as soon as somebody comes along
that is of the opposite sex,
hanging out, you just can't wait. That's that's of course if you're interested in the opposite sex, etc. So I think sometimes, for me personally, I don't really agree with it.
So what I'm getting is that there's a balance between education and socializing.
Because I think
education tends to be better.
Education. Socializing is a form of education.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree.
But the thing is, as a Muslim, okay, so we agree, or we feel, majority of us would feel that, and I think I speak for most Muslim mothers and parents out there, that separating the two is best. Especially when it comes to a girl. Whereas the boys, in our Asian culture, it's kind of like, oh, they'll be fine. They can be around girls because they're boys. But when it comes to your daughter or a female in the house, it's kind of almost a sense of, and we're still back there, where we feel a sense that we need to protect her because she's a female. She's not able to protect herself as much as a boy would. We're not there anymore. We're in a place where, and I'm going to touch on the word vulnerability, but both girls and boys can be vulnerable. And for that sense, in somewhat, the segregation does allow you to support your child's vulnerability a little bit more. If you've got a student or a child who is quite strong-willed, knows right from wrong, for example, we know, throwing it out there, you're not allowed to speak to strangers, is one example. You've got some children who will respond very well to that instruction. You've got others that don't respond to that instruction very well. So therefore, being in a mixed school, and let's also think about the fact that if it's a single-sex school, you're still likely to get mixed teachers. A single-sex school doesn't mean you're going to have, for example, all-girl school are going to have all-girl female teachers. So that integration is still there, but what you're doing is you're trying to eliminate it as a parent, the risk for the children who might consider themselves a little bit more vulnerable, who you think might not be able to respond to certain situations. But in an Asian household, we're very much the case of the boys are fine, but the girls, no, protect them because they're more likely to be in a vulnerable situation. So it's tricky. I think it does go back down to how parents feel about their children and a sense of wanting to protect them. Is it really catering for that? Probably not. But as a mother of a daughter myself, there is a slight inclination of, oh, I went to a mixed school. I know what goes down at a mixed school. I know what you got up to in a mixed school. I know what goes down in a mixed school. So do I want my daughter to be in that position and to learn and to be strong-willed? Or would I rather just not have her there at all? It's really tough.
I have to argue with that.
It's really
because
tough.
I think that, you can go to a mixed school. You don't have to get involved in, wild antics.
Yeah, but she's talking about probability, though.
It's the ability of the child.
But you can go to an all-girls school and get up to
but
wild
do you know how we in a
antics?
classroom we treat every child based on their characteristics and their needs? That's how you have to treat your own children.
That's true.
I might have my eldest who's very strong-willed, actually it's the opposite, but and then might have my second child who I'm a bit more worried about because they're not showing that same level of social awareness. I would therefore put different measures in place for different children. So the option always needs to be there, I think, to make parents feel more
I think like, because you've touched on something I feel is correct and I agree with in terms of that's where the parents have to actually really know their child.
Yeah.
Did you all go to mixed schools?
Yeah, I went to mixed schools.
My first year was in a single-sex school, actually.
Okay, as a proud alumni of a single-sex school, I have to sing its praises. I think there's a camaraderie. I think there's an educational aspect to it that we got. I think there was you guys are the professionals. I'm just talking about my experience.
Your experience,
It kind of goes against what some of you are saying. It did impact me. I think, things like, you're slow with interacting with, the opposite sex because you went to school with your formative years without that. But, I don't know, man.
There's pros and cons.
It'd be interesting to know if we've got more male single-sex schools than female.
That's true.
I think if we do look at it, there'll probably be more female single-sex schools. Because I do think we're still in that place where mentally we think girls need more protecting than... And when I say we're protecting, it's a horrific word to use. I don't mean it.
No, but is that not a real thing? Though?
What, that men are strong? No, absolutely not. Women are more stronger.
I think on that note, we can move on now. Because that's a whole nother
something else.
That's a whole nother episode.
Going into something else there.
All right, so we're going to get to this part where we're going to answer your questions. As you know, in season 4, we've got this brand new feature here. We're going to spin the wheel, and each colour represents one of you lot. And we've got questions that we're going to answer that have been coming in thick and fast, I'll have you know. So, let's see whose turn it's going to be this time. All right?
Okay.
You wanted a bright colour last time, isn't it? Let's see what.
Oh, we are
green. Green is Clem.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So,
cool.
Mr. Green, is there enough representation of society in education?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a chunky one.
Yeah, chunky one. Really, really interesting one. It's funny because obviously we were talking offset, like briefly about this anyway, and not knowing that was going to be the question.
Can I, before you answer, I just want to reason why I think we were talking offset, and I'm sure with just the elephant in the room, right? You know, we talked about offset. You've got your hat backwards. You're wearing what did they call it? A
tech fleece, isn't it? Night tech fleece. Yeah,
what do they say? What the kids say if he's wearing a tech fleece, they G-check him. Like this is this is part of the. Do you understand? You've got, so in terms of representation, how is it important for someone like you, just the way you are, and being in education, and do you see people like yourself?
Yeah, I think it's massive. I think it's needed. I've been in education now. I want to say close to 10 years, maybe just over 10 years now. So I have seen it along the year or the decade get better, but there's still 100% like needs to be more representation, like people like myself. So, for instance, and we spoke about this. When I walk down the road or wherever I am, no one ever thinks I'm a teacher. They don't think it, because there's that particular stereotype with clothing or what you're wearing or where you're from or the end you're from. So
no one ever thinks I'm a teacher, and I'm sure.
Really?
No.
Yeah. So I think it's really.
Are we referring to how you're dressed, or are we referring to the colour of your skin?
I think it's everything. I think it's about both. I think it's about what you wear, the colour of your skin, like where you're from, your background. That's right. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a real ingredient, like what we're talking about. Do you get what I'm saying? Because like me coming from the hood. I've come from the hood. I've seen a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things myself. So it gives me certain tools.
Does that benefit your students?
100. I think it does. Because straight away, like, and I can say it like with chess, like I have a really good relationship with my students because I can strip it back. I can not be like a hypocrite. I remember when I was 14, when I was 13. You know what I mean? So it benefits them because I feel like my duty of care, when I'm teaching or when I'm in school, it's about making sure they're safe. And what I mean by that is making sure that they feel comfortable enough to come and talk to me about various different issues. So if I am the way I am and it can help them and benefit them, then I think it can only be a good thing. So like, for instance, especially when we talk about males that don't like to express their emotions or don't like to talk, do you know what I mean? Because they see it as a weakness. I can, kind of guide them and educate them and talk about my experiences so that they don't have to go down that path. Or if they're in gangs or if they fights, all those sort of things that you can come across outside of school, at least they can see someone in the school.
Who's made it,
who's made it, because I told them all the time.
Sorry to interrupt, Clem, but I just need to be really clear. Have we not come away from this issue though? Have we not come away from this issue of feeling like we don't have enough representation or ethnic minorities or ethnic differences in education? Are we not more inclusive of that now? Have we not seen a pattern from when we were in school? Or am I being naive?
No.
Because I'm looking at my school, the settings that I've been in. I'm looking at, and I'm being devil's advocate here. And I'm looking at the settings of my children. I mean, I'm also somebody who has been judged based on my race or what I wear, my hijab. When the first time I wore my hijab at college, a member of staff, a very well-educated member of staff, came up to me and said to me, "Who died? Why are you wearing that?"
Wow.
It's the uneducatedness of it. Would I get that response today? Probably not.
No,
I think
wouldn't.
We've moved. We've come a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have we not seen more representation now?
I think that we think that we have moved. But I think that if you go out of London, because maybe inner London schools, but even when you go into inner London schools, when I've done agency work, and I've walked in, and people have assumed that I'm the learning support.
Yeah.
Members of staff have assumed that I'm the learning support, and then being, you're an English teacher.
What, Nyasha?
I agree.
I get that.
And still, even within the schools that I've been in, there isn't that many. For example, I'm talking from a black woman's perspective. There aren't that many black people teaching. I'm not talking about doing the learning mentoring and in the canteen and the cleaner. I'm talking about the senior roles. So really, we have We have a long way to go. And even in terms of promotion, there have been many teachers of Asian background, of black background, even of Eastern European background, who are doing the groundwork, who are really in and teaching, doing the hard stuff. And when it comes to the board and the promotion, sorry, it's one face that we are seeing a lot. And there's a token. There will usually be a token.
There will be a token. And that's what, and the thing is, we have to, although we recognize that it is a token, let's take it. Let's take it and go grab it, because that's our way in. Because the next generation of leaders is going to be us and our children.
Our children,
So if there is a token, because I know for a fact that with my role, I got where I got to because I probably am the only Muslim face. And they really needed an ethnic minority in their leadership team.
So, but you grabbed that still.
But I went and grabbed it. But guess what? I'm there. And I'm showing other students of ethnic background that I'm there. And I'm hoping that they all come through. Because sooner or later, and I know it's unfair that we have to work this hard and we have so many more barriers to overcross, but I don't think parents need to worry too much about it. We are moving forward. We have to keep going. And we cannot lose the fight.
Okay.
The fight continues.
And even just in general, because we've missed also the other aspect as well. So within schools also there, when I say that there hasn't been representation talking about colour, but there has been another representation talking about, you know, in terms of gender, in terms of sexuality, in terms of, so we are seeing progress in that capacity. That it sort of opens up. Yes, we are seeing teachers of all different coming in.
I kept on hearing the note of you don't see enough black men.
That's the biggest thing.
That's the biggest one I heard.
We see a lot of black men, but they're not teachers. And there's nothing wrong with being a learning mentor. It's a fantastic job. And
it's just that there's a difference.
It's just that we want to see that so that the kids in the class who are about to join a gang can actually say, do you know what?
I want to be like him.
Well,
and that's not to say black students are joining gangs.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't. That's why initially when we first started this, I wouldn't even just pinpoint it to black men, because you can still have
white working class
you
males.
still have a white man that's gone through the same things that I've gone through.
That's
do you get what I'm saying? So I feel like that we're talking about the representation on a whole. You know, just
on that note, I did have a lot more questions.
It's a lot.
Maybe we can unpack this in another episode as well.
Yeah, another episode.
We can unpack that. But again, I just want to thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I want to thank you all for coming.
No, thank you. Pleasure.
Yeah,
always,
don't forget
always.
to like, subscribe, and share. All right, and so that other people, parents, and other teachers and the community can learn from this discussion that we've had today. But yeah, that's goodbye from me and goodbye from everyone else.
Thank you. Bye.